Welcome to the 8 p.m. exclusive with Emma Dongia.
Hello and welcome to our 8 p.m. exclusive with myself, Emma Dongia. Tonight we have for you a very special exclusive, one which has never been aired, whereby I will talk to a number of board members of the Reserve Bank of Australia regarding the stance of monetary policy. They will give their explicit recommendation of what stance should be taken regarding the cash rate as of next Tuesday, being the first Tuesday of October 2017. This exclusive goes behind the scenes to talk to three of the board members, being Deliyannis, Hans Anjou, and Sam Pryor. Each of these members hold a specialisation. Thus, I will firstly cross over to Deliyannis, who will give us an exclusive as to the facts surrounding our domestic inflationary rate and how these will impact the recommendation.
Thanks, Emma. In regards to my area of specialisation being inflation and its underlying factors, some concerning trends have emerged over the past few periods that have greatly impacted our decision today. Currently, inflation, as measured through the Consumer Price Index, stands at 1.9%, slightly below the 2 to 3% target that the RBA aims to achieve. Now, this doesn't sound like a major problem until you consider the fact that the cash rate is currently at a record low of 1.5% and has been steadily decreasing over the past 5 years. So why hasn't inflation increased with this expansionary policy? Quite simply, a major cause of this has been the lack of consumer confidence, which has been spurred on by slow wage growth, a rising level of underemployment, and large amounts of household debt. Currently, the debt to disposable income ratio stands at approximately 190%. This has seen consumers less willing to spend in the economy, and thus has seen inflation remain relatively low. For these reasons in relation to inflation, the RBA has decided to maintain the current cash rate at 1.5%. However, with the strengthening economy, the RBA also notes that it may be necessary to increase rates in future periods, but this may not be for another couple of years.
Thank you, Deliyannis. I will now cross over to Hans, who will further explore facts surrounding the housing market in Australia and how this impacts the decision regarding the...
Hi Emma. Now in regards to the housing market, obviously there's been quite a lot of concern recently about the affordability crisis, with Australia now being the third most unaffordable housing market and Sydney being one of Australia's major cities, being the second most unaffordable city. Now, in isolation, it would be easy to say that contractionary monetary policy would be the right option, as we could increase interest rates, reduce borrowing and spending, and allow the inflationary pressures to decrease. But unfortunately, that isn't the case, as the decision takes into account many factors, including the inflation targets and also the global economic activity. In saying that, we've decided to keep the monetary policy at a neutral stance. We think that's the best decision, and currently the housing market has been improving with the current neutral stance. The residential building activity has increased from 4.5 to 6%, which increases the supply of the housing, and that will, mitigate against the demand inflationary pressures. So all in all, we think the housing market will do okay, but thanks so much.
Thank you, Hans. I will now cross over to Sam, who will discuss how economic activity in our major trading partners has impacted the RBA's decision about the monetary policy stance this year.
In regards to my area of specialisation being international economic conditions, the international economy is in a fairly positive state, which is essential for our ability to export our goods and services to other countries and hence benefit the economy. Members from the RBA board have recently stated that GDP growth has improved in some of the biggest countries. Therefore, because international economic conditions are fairly positive right now, consumers and investors in these countries will remain confident when importing and investing in the Australian economy, which is important as it indicates that the current cash rate is effectively working. The main factor which makes these countries want to import Australian products is Australia's low exchange rate. A low dollar value for Australia essentially increases consumption within our domestic markets as it makes exports cheaper for other countries. The Australian dollar is directly associated with interest rates, because increasing interest rates ultimately increases our dollar. Therefore, if the RBA were to increase the cash rate and hence increase interest rates, it could appreciate the Australian dollar, which would tend to generate a slower pickup in economic activity and inflation than currently forecasted, generating concerns. So in light of economic activity within our major trading partners, it is evident that the current monetary policy stance has been effectively working at 1.5% and therefore should remain the same.
So that was our 8 p.m. exclusive tonight. It's looking like next Tuesday the RBA is going to maintain the cash rate at the current 1.5%, holding a neutral monetary policy stance. I'd like to thank all of our guests tonight, and I'll see you next week.